What's up, my sweet little angels? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today we're gonna be having a bit of a chat and I'm gonna be sharing with you guys my tips, a to-do list, if you will, to find the will to live again. Find some like motivation, reconnect with yourself, just get out of a funk. I see this misconception in my comments and messages, like DMs all the time, of people thinking that I'm constantly like on top of everything. I'm constantly motivated and feeling great and doing all my routines, and that's not true. Like, I'm someone who used to really struggle with mental health, and that still comes up sometimes, and I get in like a deep dark hole for a little bit, and that hole has been the whole month of February for me. Like, it has not been fun. I feel like February didn't even happen. Like, I felt like I was in a mental coma. Coming out of those dark holes, if you will, or even if it's just a funk, if you just feel kind of disconnected from yourself or feel like you just can't find motivation, it can be really difficult. Like, it's hard to find that will to like get up and do something and like feel excited about it and passionate about it again. So I'm here to help. I have a lot of experience. I've struggled with dissociation in a form of like episodes since I was a kid. So there's been a lot of this in my life. A lot less now that I'm doing a lot better, but you know, it still happens. So consider me an expert. Obviously, I'm not a psychologist. I'm gonna be sharing my tips, and I'm hoping that this helps someone. And I always try to make these tips as easy as possible and make it into like actionable steps that don't feel too overwhelming, because I know that when you're in those states, like, it's really hard to like even do anything. So if it's too complicated, it's just like, no. All you're gonna need is a paper or a journal and a pen and like a little bit of a will to live. We can find that. Before we get into all of my tips, if you're new here, hi, I'm Nika. Welcome. If you want to stick around, make sure to subscribe and check out my Instagram and TikTok. I'll have all that below as well. I also wrote a poetry book, so I'll have that below as well. Now let's get into the video. So I have a few points that are really important, at least for me. Like, these are crucial steps before I get into the journaling part, especially the first one. And this one is the hardest, at least for me. There's usually a reason for why we get into a funk or into whatever episode we're dealing with at the moment. And a crucial part to getting out of it is to address those emotions. It actually takes way more energy to run away and escape from these emotions than to just face them head on. It actually takes usually just a few minutes to get those emotions out. When we don't want to deal with them and when we push them away and try to run away, that's when they stick, and that's when I at least usually get into one of those dark holes and feel stuck and unmotivated. So I'm someone who had to learn how to feel through and express my emotions at like 16 in therapy. One way to do this that's so simple and like is life-changing for me, especially if you're someone who struggles with dissociation as well, like, this is amazing. Sit down in front of a mirror and just start talking to yourself. I know this sounds silly, but trust me, just try it out. Just sit down and start talking about how you're feeling. Put everything that's in here and in here out. Just speak it out and look at yourself in the eyes while you're doing it. I usually break down. I don't know why this works, but it really does. You can obviously also talk to someone or a therapist or your journal, whatever works for you. But if you have struggles with this, try out the mirror technique. The second thing that I need to do is to clean my environment. Like, I cannot make any sort of changes or anything if my apartment is a mess. And usually if I've been in a bad place, it's a disaster. So I always clean it all and just feel like I'm in like a new environment and it's time for like a new chapter. It just helps me to feel like I'm ready for change. And then the third and last thing I do before all the journaling is I go on a little walk. Even if it's like 5 minutes, just go outside in nature preferably and just like walk for a little bit. It really helps to make me feel calm, and then when I come back, I come into a clean environment and it's like a fresh start and we can get into the journaling. Now let's get into journaling. So get out a piece of paper, a journal, and write these prompts down. So the first one is you're gonna write the longest gratitude list of your life. You're gonna write down every single thing that you can think of that makes you happy and makes you feel grateful. Think of this as like a really long life gratitude list. Anything about this world in general, anything about your own personal life, especially that you enjoy, write it down. This is a challenge for you to make it as long as you possibly can, because usually when you're in a funk or feeling unmotivated or in a weird like mental state, you are very negatively focused and it's really easy to get into like a negative spiral, and it's also hard to get out of it. And so we need to find everything that does work. No matter how bad things are, there's always things that you can appreciate and at least find a spark of enjoyment and happiness in. Anything goes here. Your dog's cute paws that make you happy, a cup of tea, bananas, like literally anything, big or small, anything you can think of, write it down. For the next exercise, you're gonna write again a huge long list. The longer the better. This is a challenge, make it as long as you can. And you're gonna write down all the positive things about you. So this can be your positive traits, your talents, successes, contributions, anything you can think of, big or small. You can Google positive traits, go through the lists and see which ones you think you have. You can also ask the people that are in your life, like, hey, I'm doing this exercise and I need to write my positive traits and I'm a bit stuck. What do you think my good traits are? Write those down. When it comes to successes and contributions, again, big or small, anything goes. When I was 7 years old, I picked up flowers for my mom because she was upset and it made her really happy. My friend broke up with her boyfriend last week, so she stayed with me and I took care of her. Anything. Like, I aced my math exam, I won a competition, or literally anything. The next prompt is what would make the next week really enjoyable for me. This can be things like I'm gonna go to a yoga class, or I'm gonna have a self-care night on Tuesday. Just make sure that you write things that are actually enjoyable and you look forward to. You don't want to overwhelm yourself, so keep it simple, keep it short. The point here is to find all the positives that we can, find things to look forward to, and then to not make it overwhelming, because then we just give up, go back to bed, and we're out. This next step is optional, and I would only decide if I'm gonna do it or not after I've already done all the other steps. If you're feeling really motivated and excited, you can do this. If you're not, just skip it. So here you're gonna write down different routines. It can only be one routine that you're gonna slowly get back into. So I always start with my morning routine, like it's just my go-to when it comes to just fueling myself and feeling happy and healthy and on top of things. I'm someone who has a pretty consistent morning routine, so when I'm planning it out, I just make like a small change, just so it's something that I'm excited about. And I always like write it down and plan it out. It just, I don't know, it helps me. You obviously don't have to, but I like to see it on a piece of paper and be like, okay, tomorrow I'm doing this. The last two journaling prompts are sort of one, and I actually like to do this the next morning just to start my morning on like a really good note, but you can also do it just whenever you want to, obviously. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna open YouTube or click on the link that I'm gonna put in the description box, and it's gonna take you to like a dream life visualization. The one that I use is like 10 minutes long. You can obviously find your own if you don't like that one, or if something else catches your eye. And you're just gonna lay down and listen to this visualization and basically follow it. And that usually makes me feel amazing in general. Like, I like to do this every single morning if I can. It just makes me feel really excited for the future. And again, I'm finding things that I enjoy in my life already that I want to keep doing, and then I also have things to look forward to. So it's just all in all like a really positive thing that I like to do. And then the last little journaling prompt is sort of connected, because you're gonna write down basically your top 5 priorities in life, and your dream life visualization is going to help you with that, because when you're imagining those things, you see what makes you feel excited and happy and what makes you feel really good. And you're going to write down basically in order the first 5 things that are the most important. So here's an example. So this is what I wrote down when I was doing this exercise. So my number 1 priority, if you will, is I'm focusing on my health and happiness first. And then I expanded on this. So I wrote like I'm eating well, I'm nurturing my body, I'm exercising regularly, and then I expanded on that, like where am I going? I'm going hiking, I'm going to yoga classes, like I'm eating this. Like I really got into it, and I wrote as much as I could. And I wrote it in like present tense as if it's already happening. Even if you don't believe in like the law of attraction or any of that, it just makes you feel good. And it's a good exercise to figure out what's important to you and what makes you really happy. Because when people ask you like, oh, what are you working towards? What is the most important for you? Like we usually answer with our minds instead of like our emotions and what actually makes us feel happy. So doing this after the visualization is really helpful because you're really focusing on the feelings, and that's what actually keeps us motivated. Doing things that actually make you just feel really good is way easier than doing something that you don't enjoy. The second thing that I wrote is I'm exploring this amazing world, and like I'm traveling, even if I'm in my own city, like I'm trying new cafes, blah, blah, blah. This is the sort of like self-care thing that I like to do, that I've always loved doing, that keeps me excited and passionate about life. The third thing that I wrote down is I'm creating my dream career. The fourth one, crafting abundance. And then the last one, loving and being loved, like focusing on my relationships. And I expanded on like each of those points, and again wrote in the present tense. And that is it, my loves. I really, really hope this is gonna help you, even if you just do one of these exercises. I know that when you're like in a dark place or in a funk, it can be really, really hard. And you know, just take whatever you can from this video. And I really, really hope that you start to feel better. And I hope that this video gave you like an inkling of motivation or inspiration or good vibes, whatever you need. Like this world is so challenging at the moment, to say the least. So I'm hoping that this channel can bring you a spark of happiness. Let me know which videos you want to see next. I'm gonna have all the links to my book, my Instagram, my TikTok, anything that I mentioned in this video down below. I also have some self-help books that I put into like an Amazon page. I get asked about that all the time, so I'm gonna link that down below as well. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys really soon. Thank you for watching and have a great day.